Well, good evening.
Good evening, folks. How are y'all doing?
Say we're day late. That's all right.
Day late. I actually was thinking, was it the last episode that I was coughing and I'd have to turn and cough?
Man, I don't know. Might have been.
I
Was it
can't-
last one or two?
That's what I was just thinking, because I had just recently gotten over kind of some crud. But I'll tell you what, it wasn't crud. Like, I just thought it was bad. What I've been dealing with was I've ran fever for 5 days in a row.
Sounds like me when I had mono.
I know. I thought about that. I was like, man, Bobby Lee talking about mono, but I didn't. I actually because you started having headaches initially, didn't you?
No, when I finally had like the splitting headache, that's when my wife and they were like, "You got to go to the hospital."
Yeah.
because they were afraid it was going to be something worse than that, and lo and behold, I tested positive for mono.
How far into the sickness was that?
About 6 or 7 days.
Really?
I ran a fever for 8 straight days, but I don't remember. About the time I went to the hospital, because like I could not even sleep that night, and I woke up on Sunday morning. They're like, "All right, you're going."
Yeah.
And then it was like they diagnosed me. I was like, "Oh, well, this makes sense." Of course, there wasn't really anything to treat it with, but it was just like just coincidentally I started getting better, like pretty much that
Right
next
after.
day.
Yeah.
So it seemed like it was at the very end when I finally went to the hospital.
So you weren't on antibiotics or anything?
No, because I think I might have gone to like the Red Med or whatever.
Yeah.
Or I did an at-home, COVID test. I hate to even admit that I did that, but yet just because I mean, like hell, anytime you're sick nowadays, you gotta.
Well, yeah, let me check, make sure it ain't
You gotta
COVID.
roll out the old 19, but yeah, and so then they were like afraid I was gonna have like meningitis or something because the headaches had not been an issue at all, and then all of
Yeah.
a sudden they were, and I mean, like I don't have migraines. I mean, I've had one here or there, but like I would wake up and just moaning. My head was hurting so bad. They're like, yeah, like there's
Dang.
something seriously wrong with you. And it was just that one night, and then I was
Yeah.
fine. So whatever.
Did you, what were your symptoms leading up to that?
It was pretty much just the fever. And so
Okay.
I felt crappy, but like I didn't have other symptoms. Like I wasn't,
You weren't congested?
didn't really have major upper, respiratory sinus symptoms or no vomiting or diarrhea, anything.
Yeah.
I just felt like shit. I mean, that's the nicest way to say it. Like,
Yeah.
just like you have a fever.
Well, that's the weird part. I woke up, it was last Friday. I woke up Friday morning and I had a sore throat. And I had felt fine like the day before. And I got up, I felt fine that morning, besides my throat was sore. And I was like, where the hell did this come from? Just woke up with a sore throat. And so, man, we went out, actually I ran the bulldozer, I can't even remember, dozer for a little bit. And as the day got longer, my throat just progressively hurt worse. And then I finally just started, I started not feeling great that afternoon. And by 6 o'clock, that's when I was like, I'm going to run over here to Red Med. And yeah, I went and got tested because I had fever at that point. It was like 101. And I don't know. They were like, they looked at my ears, looked at my throat. I did learn that I can't take decongestant medicine.
Really?
Yeah, apparently
Like
my
Sudafed.
Sudafed, Mucinex, Theraflu, I'm not supposed to take any of it. I went, well, when I got to Red Med, because I had drank some Theraflu, I'd been taking it during the day when I started feeling bad. I got to Red Med and my blood pressure was like through the ceiling. Like it was like 170 over 100 and something, like 110. It was like crazy high.
Yeah, pseudoephedrine can do it to you.
Well, see, and I'd get nervous anyways. I'm always in the hot. Like if I go to the doctor,
Yeah. And when they take your blood pressure, yeah. I mean, I think that's a natural response unless you're somebody who gets theirs checked all the time. It's
yeah.
like you're like, all right, just relax, don't.
And then that makes it like go up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's how I do. And I warn them. I'm like, it's going to be high. But I've got a thing. I even have my own, like an Omron or whatever brand tester here at the house, because I was like, I don't have damn high blood pressure. So like I had to buy my own tester, and I check it here, and it ranges from And I'll get nervous actually checking it with it. But I've learned to breathe and calm myself. If I'm truly calm, my blood pressure is about 117 over 76, which is good.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm like, I don't have high blood pressure. So then I get there, my blood pressure was 170 over like 110. They were like, that's pretty high. And I said, yeah, that's pretty high. I said, I don't think I've ever seen it that high. Like typically it might be 140, 150 over like 90 whenever I go to the doctor because I'm just nervous. And they can, if they allow me to sit there, it'll come down. Which that's what I told my wife. I said, another gripe I have is it never fails. You get to the doctor and they're like, come on in here. As soon as so you get up, you walk in there, and like as soon as you sit down, they ask you questions or like slapping the thing on you. And you're like having to answer questions while they're checking it. And I'm moving around. So I'm like, I need to like be sit down and be calm if I'm going to get an accurate check here. But so all that to say, they put me on antibiotics. Still felt like death. I did not learn at that point that it was the decongestants that had my blood pressure so amped. So I kept taking them, and I didn't sleep like the next 2 nights because my heart rate, like even laying in bed, like my heart rate would be like 100. And
yes, Sudafed will do that to me.
Really?
Like I can't, like it messes me up. And it also, like, if I take it during the day though, it makes me feel all like, I don't know if high is the right word.
Really?
But like, I remember taking it, and like, I feel like my head's like floating above my body. Like it's weird. And my dad's like, oh, but my dad had to quit taking it because he used to take one every day. Like
all the time?
Yes. Like just woke up and took a Sudafed. And,
well, he has horrible allergy problems.
Right. And he's had some like sinus surgery stuff done since then. But yeah, and of course he has high blood pressure, and like,
wonder if there was any contributing factors.
And so it's like, yeah, you got to quit doing that. But yeah, I'm sure he was on the watch list for like having a meth lab.
Yeah.
But I don't. I mean, hell, I don't know if he does it or not. But I think my mom and his doctor finally got him to quit doing that.
Dang, yeah, dude. Well, that's how I was. Monday, I went back to the doctor. I had to take Emerson leave out of school. And I went back to the doctor because I was not any better. And my throat got so sore on Saturday and Sunday. My throat was so sore that I barely could stand to swallow. Like it was the worst sore throat I have ever had in my life. And
the old man cold.
Oh, dude, yes, yeah. Well, so Monday I went back to the doctor and I went to the woman I normally see, and I got there, my blood pressure was 164 over like 120. And she was like, which I told because I warned the girl, I said, it's going to be high. And she checked it and she goes, whoa. And I said, what is it? And she told me, and I said, that's pretty dadgum high. And I said, I don't think my bottom number's ever been that high. And so I get back there and she comes in, she actually checks my blood pressure again, and it was 164 over like 95. And so my doctor comes in there and she's like asking me all the stuff. She examines me, checks me out, and she's like, your test came back negative, no flu, COVID, strep, none of that. She said, you just have a terrible sinus infection. And she said, I'm going to put you on some antibiotics. I was on some others. She said, I'm changing them. I want you to take these because they cover a broader range. She said, I would give you prednisone, but your blood pressure is too high. And she was like, I can't prescribe you any blood pressure or steroids. And she said, you really need some steroids. But she was like, I can't give it to you with your blood pressure that high. And I was like, what's it got to be to get them? And she said, it's got to be less than 140 over like 90 or 95. And I said, I promise my blood pressure is not that high. And she goes, well, you do one thing about it. She said, you can't take decongestants. She said, that's one of the reasons your blood pressure is spiking. It's because you're taking this stuff. And I was like, I won't take any more if you'll give me some prednisone. I was like, let me take something that's going to knock this thing out. And I had to long story short, I had to verify with her that my blood pressure was not that high. Marcy checked it manually, and we had to kind of verify some things. no names will be mentioned because it's probably like not like the perfect legal way to do this by doctorate standards or whatever, but we had to verify with her that my blood pressure was good. Marcy checked it like the next morning and it was 130 over like 82. And even with Marcy checking it, I was getting nervous. Like I told her, I said, I can feel, you can feel yourself kind of getting nervous.
Yeah.
So I was like, and so I've checked it since then. It was, and like I said, man, I do 3 and average them, and my average blood pressure is like, I think I average 120 over 79. Like that's what it averages out. So I did get the prednisone, and then I was scared to take it after. And so it took me a day to take it.
And that made your blood pressure go up.
It somehow didn't. I checked. I was like, because I told Marcy, I was like, is this going to like make me have a stroke? I don't want to die, have a heart attack or a stroke. And so I took it. I've been taking it for like 2 days now. But I feel good. But today I felt like I was like on a cloud. Like that's how my head has felt. I don't know if that's the prednisone or what.
Prednisone shouldn't do that. It'll make you thirsty and hungry, and some people think it makes them irritable.
Yeah.
It's like a license to be an asshole. I'm taking prednisone. Yeah.
I hadn't noticed that. Many more than normal.
Right.
So that's been the saga for me. That's why we're a day late.
Yeah, that's a long way of saying that's sorry. We're still here.
Yeah.
Daylight. So keep you on your toes.
That's right.
You never know when it's going to be uploaded.
Well, this one was so bad. Surely to goodness, I've gotten my like bad one out of the system for a little while.
Yeah, you hope so.
Yeah. So, guys, we're glad to be back. Leave us a rating and a review. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit that like button, hit subscribe, and hit the little bell down there to let you know when we drop these.
I guess it was a relatively good time to be sick because the weather's been total crap.
I thought about that. I got to go get the starter off that John Deere Traco still.
Yeah.
And that's what the guy that's helping me, he texted me today and he said, you want to go try to get that starter off today? And I said, no. It's like buried under a layer of ice on the Traco right now. I said, no. So we'll probably see what it does on Monday is like the only nice day we have.
Yeah, it's going to start raining again.
Yep.
Yeah, it's for our listeners outside of the Mid-South, we've been what night was it? Monday night the ice came in originally? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Monday we had a normal day at work. But yeah, then it was Monday night we had ice. And then Tuesday night we had just more ice. And then last night we were supposed to be a third round, but I don't think we really got much last night.
Well, Dad claimed about 2 or 3 o'clock it really did some raining.
Okay, maybe it rained because there were places where it had mostly melted off, I guess, during the day on Wednesday. And so this morning when I was checking, I was like, well, there's really not anything else here. So
yeah.
I had noticed, and that may be true because I was shocked, 5:30 this morning, well before daylight, walking down my driveway, there was water running.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy crap, it's like this stuff's melting, and which it wasn't very cold. It was like 30 degrees, but still it was like, that's below freezing. This stuff. But I guess if it had just rained, a couple hours earlier, that might have explained some of that. But yeah, I'm ready for it to melt and be gone. It's not even so much just the ice, it's just the moisture itself and just the way it is just, the ground is just
for the next several days. Well, the only benefit, actually, it ain't even a benefit because it's going to rain a bunch. What I like is if after this stuff melts, if it'll rain really hard for like 1 day, because then it packs the ground.
Yeah.
Because if it don't rain after this stuff melts off, the ground is just mush for days.
There's places where I've got gravel even, and it's just you're like, this doesn't even seem like I've got gravel here. It's just mush.
Yeah.
It's just a mess. Anywhere you're feeding livestock, if you don't have them on concrete, it is a god awful mess. Insane. Places where it's normally not that muddy around our barns, it is insanely muddy. But
well, I did. My buddy Ross has been giving us crap again, because John, that's my friend, lives in Mississippi. He lives just right across the bridge. their school was closed for snow day, just like, or snow days. They're actually out tomorrow.
Our kids are out.
See, we go back tomorrow, but we don't have buses. I think that's the big thing. But Ross, he lives in Idaho, and he's like been laughing at us when we're like snow day, and I'm like, dude, we get snow 2 days or like two times a year.
Snow, like I would have rather had snow. Like we got ice.
Yeah,
and that's. I mean, like driving on a snow-covered road can be tricky, and I'll admit people in the South really don't know what they're doing. But ice is a whole different game.
Well, I messed with him. I said, yeah. I said, all right. I said, I don't care. I said, I don't care how much of a North man you are. You don't. I said, driving on ice, and that's what I said. I said, it don't matter if you got big bad mud tires or you got street tires. I said, they're all the same on ice.
Well, and so it was Monday night into Tuesday morning. It was just ice. Like we had a layer of ice on everything. Thankfully, not quite enough to have trees and power lines down. Although there are 2 places today, and I don't know if it's the weight of the ice or the ground is so rotten. There was a pole down on the road that our office is on.
Really?
I kept forgetting when I made it through going in, but when I left to go home at lunch, it must have just happened because it was just like one cop car there.
Dang.
So I had to turn around. Well, I just went home and ate and did a few chores, came back, and I'd already forgotten. I was like, crap. Turn around and go back. Then I did the same thing when I left to go home tonight, and there were like several trucks from the electric company there tonight. I guess they're having to replace a pole.
Yeah.
But then on my road where I live, a road just off where I live, there was a line almost in the road because a pole had broken. So I don't know, maybe just like cumulative weight over time. But I was coming in on Tuesday morning, and that was the tricky thing. That ice, you really can't see it on the road. Like, and it was one of those deals where I was coming along, everything was going good. So like, okay. So I'm slowly, and I drive like a pawpaw anyway.
Were you in the Jeep?
Yeah. And I'm coming around a curve in the road. That back end just kept on coming around. I was like, oh no. Butthole puckered up. And of course, luckily there wasn't any traffic. Nobody was coming. I didn't touch the gas or the brakes.
Yeah.
Just kind of coasted. She straightened back up and I just kept on going.
Yeah.
But,
well, that's what I told him. I said, because then he was like, well, it's a matter of how you drive in it, not your tires. And I said, exactly. And I said, you got to think about a place like here. We get a big, like you get snow or ice here. I mean, realistically, maybe 2 times a year we have to deal with that.
Yeah.
And I can remember several years in my life where we did not have any snow days. Like, you know, we didn't miss school for snow and stuff because we didn't have that problem. So I'm like, how can I expect people to know how to drive on it if they never do?
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, quit giving us crap. So
yeah.
But we pick at each other all the time. But I told him, I said, well, you'd melt if you moved down here in the summertime. And he was like, yeah.
Call him middle of July. Come help chop a garden or put some hay in the barn or something like that.
Yeah.
See how he does when it's 105 with 100% humidity. It feels like 118.
Yeah, our heat index, brutal. Well, I got a quick cool story, and then I don't have a ton. I will say I actually booked some grain. I have already booked a little bit going into this year. But there was this article that I saw in one of my farm magazines I get, and it's a company as well, but it's by farmers. It's called Flyover Whiskey. You ever heard of that?
Ooh, I may have. Sounds.
I had never heard of this before until tonight, or today when I was looking in that magazine. So it's Flyover Whiskey was started to showcase the generations, says, of Midwest farmers who make the heartland such an amazing place to live. But now they've branched out, I think, like anywhere you can send it. But it says every bottle we make starts with corn planted on a family farm and ends with a glass raised to celebrate another harvest. And they actually make it with your corn. You send them like 15 pounds or something of corn, and you tell them the name of the farm. You actually can tell them the variety you used, like everything, and they'll print out. They make you a custom label. They put it on there, and I think you get 6 bottles. Now, it takes several months. You know, it's not a quick process.
So it's not really aged, I guess.
I don't guess so. They because it says here, start like on Start Your Order. If you go on there, they're like 8 to 10 months behind. They said right now on the order, but so you can say I can provide my own corn. They go into it. I don't know how they do any like aging.
Yeah, because normally it spends years in a barrel.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to look into their stuff and see. I mean, it's like it's $700. Like it's no cheap thing. But I was like, that's pretty cool though. Still, like if you could, it'd be neat to have some that's like your own. Like you grew it and everything. It's just kind of a novelty thing. But I was like, that's pretty nifty. I've always would love to have my own whiskey.
Yeah.
But I hadn't thought about the aging. Unless they have some way to, use climate change, like change the temperatures of the barrel or something to like speed the aging up. I don't know.
That just wouldn't seem right.
Yeah. Oh, it's kind of cheating.
Yeah.
Cheating the aging.
I don't know. But see, I'm not sure if at some point I'd heard of that company or not. I don't know. I'll just have to go with the default. And no, I had not.
Yeah. I just now had heard of it. No, I did watch a film that you kind of had actually recommended. Watched The Hunger Games last night.
Oh, yeah. All of them?
No, just the first one.
Yeah.
We were looking for something to watch with the kids, and I saw it. It was like supposed to be family friendly.
Yeah. I don't know. It's definitely violent.
It's violent, and it is kind of gory, like to a more family friendly degree. And I don't think I don't remember if they ever said any bad words in the movie.
It's been so long since I've seen the first one. Like I said, I think I watched the last one there recently.
Well, I liked it.
Yeah, I like that kind of dystopian, like anti-government, kind of futuristic sort of thing.
And they're all like weird, real weird out there, like the elites.
Oh, in the Capitol? Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
they look down on everybody, which I don't remember how far into the future it's supposed to be set.
I don't
remember. Or if
remember.
it really even is in the future. But,
I don't remember what the time frame was either. I don't remember them saying. But I did enjoy it. But yeah, I'm ready to watch the next ones.
I enjoyed that series.
So what's some stuff you got?
Well, there was a few things, kind of current event or current news. One of them that came out, I believe it was on Monday, was the new USDA cattle inventory numbers, and they expected it to be significantly lower than in the past. And our cattle herd, U.S. cattle herd, is the smallest as far as beef cows that it's been in over 60 years.
Wow.
Fewer than 29 million cows, which obviously that's pretty bullish as far as the markets go. Supplies are just gonna be tighter. But I had kind of a, oh damn, I'm getting old moment when I was reading. I heard that number and people were kind of anticipating it and kind of predicted that's where it would be. But when I was actually pulling up this article to read a little more about it, it's like lowest numbers in 61 years. And then I was reading and I was like, and then it quoted and it said 1962. And I was like, well, they said 61 years. And I was like, oh shit, 1962 was 61 years ago. But it was one of those moments where I was like, in my head, I'm thinking 60 years. That would have been like the 40s.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, the 40s would have been 80 years ago.
Yeah. It
was just like one of those moments like, oh,
made you feel old.
Oh, damn. Like you see those stats, it's like, we're now closer to the year 2050 than we are to 1990.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my God. Like,
did you see the meme where, Tom Brady, slightly off topic, he retired again for real, he says, and it showed a meme and it says, this is how long Tom Brady's been playing. And the top picture is like PlayStation graphics of him. Like, it's like, you can't even tell who it is. Yeah. You can just see the number, but it's like this horrific graphic of a video game.
Pixelated.
Yeah. And then the next one, it's like, it looks real, like it's him and as a different team and all this stuff. And it's like, this is how long Tom Brady's been playing football. Like,
yeah. Oh yeah. Well, there's guys in the league. I mean, obviously that weren't even born.
Yes.
When he was in the league.
Yeah.
Like he could legitimately have a son playing with him, but
isn't there a few guys that their son plays with them?
Man, not in football, not that I know of. I think in baseball, I think Ken Griffey Jr. and Ken Griffey Sr. were both in the league at the same time. there may be a few others.
That'd be wild.
In baseball, because in football, it's pretty much in a rare instance a quarterback like him or maybe a kicker, but like
no linebackers or running backs are making it that long.
Like that, I mean, most of those dudes don't play till they're 30. I mean, it's a rarity to be playing in your 30s.
Yeah.
At most positions on the football field. Baseball a little different,
Yeah.
Certainly like pitchers and whatnot, but yeah, that was that was kind of those deals where I was like, wait a second, I know it said 61 years ago, and then this is quoting a figure from 1962, and I was like, oh.
It is 60 years.
That was 61 years ago.
Yep.
Damn. But that was, like I say, it was kind of expected. We knew the numbers were way down.
Why?
Mainly drought in a lot of the big cow producing areas. The big one last year, was Texas, Oklahoma. I looked at another article that had figures by state. And it was crazy how much
it dropped.
Like a lot of those states were down, and then both in the southern and the northern plains, which, the northern plains, the Dakotas, Nebraska, and all that, they've been in a multi-year drought.
Yeah.
Which they feel like they've had a lot of moisture this winter, which, we here in the South don't even care about moisture we're getting this time of year, but like to them, that's big time because, places where they may only get
16 inches a year.
Yeah, and so literally snow that they're getting this time of year is what makes their spring grass.
Yeah.
Spring and summer grass. Like that may be, a big chunk of the moisture they get for the year. And so they're already thinking, well, the drought may be winding down for those guys, at least for now. But I think that's the big deal is, drought in some of those big cow producing areas. But there was another story, and this one was kind of one that just more went viral. You may have seen the videos of it, but the Canadian farmer, I think they said he originally did a TikTok video, but it's been shared everywhere else now. I don't have TikTok, but
I don't either.
He was dumping milk.
Oh, I did. I just saw that today.
Yeah, I saw it a day or two ago. But at first, but I kept seeing it enough. I was like, all right, I got to look more into this. And so basically, he said in the video, he dumped 30,000 liters of milk. And so apparently in Canada, and he's specifically in Ontario, they have a quota. They can't produce more than a certain amount of milk. And because he had already met like his monthly quota, I guess it would have been for January. Because that may have been right, because he would have been dumping it at the end of the month.
Yeah.
Like earlier this week. And once he's met however many liters or whatever he's allowed to produce for the month, he can't produce anymore. And so the government and then the DFO, which I think was Dairy Farmers of Ontario, they've done that to tighten supplies to help their prices. And so it kind of helps the dairy farmer.
Yeah.
But I think his whole thing was he was just so sick of it and he wanted to speak out because, he's like, there's always inflation. People are complaining about the price of food, price of even milk and dairy products.
And we're dumping milk.
And like he said, literally, and he showed it, he's like that, because of course they still got to milk the cows. They can't just let them go. And they're pumping it out of the cow, and it's just the hose is just unhooked from the tank, just dump it on the ground.
Yeah.
He's like, we could donate this we could at least give it away even, but they won't let us. And it's just it to me that just highlighted how much government interfering with anything is a total cluster. And just And it probably started, again, they were wanting to tighten supplies, just like we're talking about with beef cattle. Supplies are tight right now, so prices are good.
Yeah.
But that way they can keep their prices up by choking down the supply. But they're artificially choking it down.
Yeah.
And so that's just more ridiculousn's.
That's what it's like been our issue from day one, is that, like you say, that government control, which, hell, Canada's like the beacon for government control. I just recently saw, I think Trudeau said no handguns at all, or all handguns, they're illegal in Canada now. And so it's, nothing surprises me about Canada anymore. And, I had just, like I said, seen the video, but I had not looked into it.
Yep. Well, I just got to think about that. It's like, okay, let's say, they try to do that for crop farmers. Say you're growing 1,000 acres. They're like, all right, Logan, you got 1,000 acres.
Yeah.
you know, and whatever, you can have farm as many acres you want, but you're only allowed to produce 150 bushels an acre of corn.
Yeah.
And say we have a dang good year, you know, you get to that 150,000 bushels, then you just got to dump the rest in the gully, in the ditch. Like, like what? Like that would be absolute insanity.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, that's what the video the guy sent me of it.
well, I can't believe it. Like, there's not like a black market for like.
Well, all right. So I made a note because you did remind me of another topic I had thought of, and it actually ties in well with this. And it's part of the black market. You know, they're selling eggs on the black market. That's become a black market item.
Well, I don't even know why it has to be, because I guess they're supposed to be inspected. Or
they're, you know, technically you're not allowed to like sell straight from the farm.
Well, I'd always wondered that, because that's the way it is with my beef. As crazy as that is, like I can slaughter one of my cows. Like if I had the ability to slaughter it and do it all myself, and then my neighbor was like, hey, you know, can I buy a little of that off of you? Legally, I could not do it.
Yeah.
As wild as that is to think about. And yeah, so I mean, I guess, yeah, I mean,
I don't know the process, but I know you got it. There's permit or something you got to have to sell eggs.
Yeah. Well, I don't doubt that, because I mean, I know people are talking about how ridiculous egg prices are.
A guy on the stuff I was looking at today, a dude was saying he spent $9 for a dozen.
Yeah.
It was $8.99 a dozen. But I made a note because this is something I had actually been brushing this off as not legit, because like, all right, every winter my chickens slow down. Like they don't ever make near the eggs in the wintertime.
Mine do too. Mine have actually picked up here recently though.
Well, that's how ours did. And I'm thinking the day, getting more daylight. But I had not thought a lot about it. I had seen on Facebook people were like, they're putting stuff in the feed to make them quit laying, and I'm like, that sounds like a bunch of bull butter, because I don't change mine's feed. And they slow down in the winter, and they pick back up.
That's normal.
Yeah. Unless I've heard, you know, I know people that put a lamp in there, and then they'll keep laying. But I'm like, we get enough eggs. Mine have still been laying, but so then Tucker Carlson actually ran a story on it, and I just watched. My buddy Brandon sent it to me, this clip of it, and I was like, wow, like they had a woman on there that has 60 hens, and she said that she was getting 2 eggs a day. It had dropped down to like...
Yeah, she had a problem, because I've got 5, and even at my low point, I'm at like 2 eggs a day.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's how, like, we got 11, and I mean, you know, when they really get crappy, we'll get down to like 2 eggs a day.
Yeah.
But I mean, like the other day we had like 6 eggs out there. Yeah. But she did say that she changed feeds and they picked back up. Yeah, but so that's the thing that got me kind of curious, because Tucker and them traced it back, and they traced it to other farmers, and all these farmers that were using Purina feeds, their chickens weren't laying. So it was like, and I mean, maybe it was some bizarre coincidence, but it was kind of weird. I was like, it's kind of weird.
And maybe Purina had a bad batch of feed or something, but I mean, I know everybody wants to believe every conspiracy theory nowadays, but I would have a hard time believing that it was intentional on Purina's part.
Yeah.
Like some big government conspiracy to...
the weird part is, too, then you had that one burned down.
Man, and I see that, but like, I don't know. Those... Because you remember we talked about that, where everybody's like, all these food processing plants are burning down. And when you really looked into it, they weren't burning down.
It was like 1% or something.
It wasn't at any higher rate than like other industrial, you know, factories or whatever might catch fire. So I don't know about that. But some of it too, I blame on the government, because I was like, well, you lied to us so much, especially over the last 3 or 4 years, and called everybody a conspiracy theorist, and then 90% of these conspiracies came true. Like it's insane, the stuff that you weren't allowed to say a year or 2 ago that now is like mainstream.
Yeah. That's the problem. So yeah, I mean, and that's what they've created. They've created a society where everything is conspiracy. The bad thing about it is we'll run through this period where everything is conspiracy. And so it's essentially, it'll turn into that cry wolf type thing where then we'll enter a period where something that's going to be like legit, like not a conspiracy, but it'll kind of have that conspiracy vibe about it. Nobody will believe it because they'll be like, yeah, he's just that's just a conspiracy.
Oh yeah, you'll overcorrect. I mean, that's kind of the way everything goes, kind of cyclical. But yeah, I thought that was a pretty good story or a pretty good example of how the government getting involved. Just like let the market work itself out. If all of a sudden there's too much milk being produced, prices are going to bottom out. Especially the kind of natural selection is going to occur. The operations that aren't as well run and operate on thinner margins are going to get weeded out.
Yeah.
And that's sad. I don't want to see anybody go out of business, but the industry as a whole gets better because of it. And and here they've choked down production to make it, to falsely keep prices at a certain level.
What's the thing?
And who's really getting screwed? It ain't even the dairy farm that's getting screwed because their prices are staying good.
Consumer.
Yeah, the consumers who's getting screwed. Exactly.
That's like no child left behind, but for farmers.
Yeah. Yeah, in a lot of ways. And it's just, I don't know. Yeah. And when I really thought about it in terms of like, what if they did that to like crop farmers in this country and made you just destroy crop over a certain bushel per acre? I mean, I guess you'd all of a sudden spend a lot less money on fertilizer.
But that, see, the way I look at it,
and I'm sure people would play devil's advocate, say, well, they should have cut those cows' rations way back.
Yeah.
To lower, cut back on their production. They save money. They'd have less, gross revenue, but they'd have less inputs. I don't know. And apparently, again, it was right there at the end of the month. And I don't know, like, how many liters that dairy produces in a month. Maybe 30,000 liters is a tiny percentage. Just they went over on the last day of the month by just a little. And it really wasn't that much that they were, I don't know about all that. But still, when you think about 30,000 liters, which, of course, when you convert that to American, it's like 8,000 gallons.
That's a lot of milk.
You're thinking, for people that are maybe going hungry and whatnot, that's a big deal. But
get them some protein, man. They'd have a milk, give them some calcium, some protein. Yeah.
Oh, that's one thing. So we get into like the fake stuff. Like, no, milk is incredibly nutritious, and for what you get out of it, it's a lot of bang for your buck, even at these higher prices.
Yeah. One of my buddies, he's a strength coach, and he was telling me the other day they're about to order chocolate milk.
Yeah.
And they're going to have that like ready for the players, and after training or whatever, they're going to all get chocolate milk.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things I love about, when I was running a bunch and you go to all these races, of course you get done, and a lot of them got beer when you get done, which, I mean, you need your carbs too. But a lot of them have like chocolate milk and stuff. And like, oh man, nothing better than especially the pre-made chocolate milk, the good rich stuff.
Real thick, yeah.
I mix me a little Ovaltine at home, but there's nothing like the real
Drink your Ovaltine.
That's right.
Little Annie Oakley, or little orphan Annie, she'd be proud of you.
Yeah, that's right. She would.
Well, there was one other thing I was going to say on that Canada deal. Man, I'm trying to remember on the
damn Canadians.
Yeah, gosh dang it. Feel bad for you guys with that old communist moron you got leading the country over there. Crap, it was on the. Oh, I'll tell you. This is actually a good point of why, man, I really urge guys to diversify their operation, because that's like, there's a lot of farmers in our neck of the woods. I mean, there's guys around here that they grow nothing but soybeans every year. Like, they're a soybean farmer. They have a combine, they got a bean header, and they don't do anything but grow soybeans. And like, I mean, I guess if that's your prerogative, whatever, like, I'm all for doing whatever, but that's the case where the market, you allow the market to correct. If we're making too much of something and you want to stay in the game and the prices drop here, then you got to start growing something, like do elsewhere. That's why I say diversify, have you some livestock, have you some row crop, venture into, like say, vegetables, everything kind of. That's why I don't want to ever put my eggs all in one basket, because even as much as, I mean, primarily I grow corn and soybeans. Like that's my primary thing. Going into this year, I'm going to have corn, soybeans, cotton, pumpkins, and a whole hell of a bunch of vegetables. Like this year, I'm really, really dipping my toes in, but like, that's what I think people should do, man. You don't need to just settle in on one thing. Now, like the dairy guys, it's tough because dairy is ungodly time consuming. Like I know that's like, you know.
Oh, you hear stories than people like listening on podcasts, stuff like, yeah, my parents never took a vacation.
Yeah.
More than like one night away for like 30 years.
Yeah.
Like, because I mean, cows got to be milked twice a day, every day.
Yeah. Dairy is one operation I don't have any interest whatsoever to be in.
Man, it's one of those things where even just the beef cattle, which I mean, it's pretty much every day. And even that, I mean, it's not twice a day I'm having to milk cows. Like I'm just having to get out there. And still, I mean, it wears on me, especially like this time of year. And it's just like, man, it's like, do I want to be, you know, kind of have this ball and chain? Because it does affect, like, got spring break coming up for the kids.
Yeah.
I'm like, and we ought to go somewhere for a couple of nights, just get away. Like, we'll be calving. Like, I would feel like kind of a piece of crap to
put it off on somebody else.
Put it off on somebody.
Yeah, because somebody's got to check them, like I said.
I mean, and if we weren't calving, like later on in the year, like midsummer, it's like, oh yeah, we can get away for a few days. We're going to. It's like, man, you know, I really don't need to be gone then, and you know, I can get away for a couple of days. Like we went duck hunting last weekend for 2 nights, but you know, I just put out plenty of hay where they were good to go. And my wife was there. Like, she was checking them. She watched over everything. But it wasn't like, yeah, if we had been calving, I'd have felt bad because as sure as I'd left, there'd have been one having trouble.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'd have felt like, yeah, real jerk.
Yeah. Well, that's,
like, get out there and get her in the barn. See if you can get a hold of my dad and y'all pull that calf.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be over here drinking beer and shooting ducks.
Yeah. Well, that's how, you know, I mean, our grandfather is a prime example. He literally never took a vacation. He didn't go on vacation.
Yeah.
Like Dad would talk about that. Like he used to talk about going to the beach with Nana and like some cousins. And I asked him, I said, Papa not go? And he said, no, he never went on vacation.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I like to go and travel, but I think about that, you know, like, especially once my kids are gone, like, man, you know, I don't know if having cows, you know, when I'm in my 50s, which hell, my 50s ain't but 10 years away. Damn. I won't quite be an empty nester, but my late 50s, I'll be an empty nester. And,
yeah.
Hell, I don't know. My kids probably move back in or may never leave, you know, kind of thing. But, now then that'd be perfect if they move back in, because then they can watch over everything.
Then you could go and do whatever you want to do.
Yeah. Hell, maybe I don't want them to leave.
Just build you the Yellowstone shacks out there, and they can have their little shacks on the place.
That's right.
Yeah, no, I don't know, man. Well, I've found the more every year as I like kind of try to expand the operation, the more I expand it, the less I desire to leave. Like I don't like leaving, because when I'm gone, I'm thinking of what is here. Like,
and I was talking to a friend of ours, family friend, that not an ag at all, but has his own business. You know, situation where if he ain't there, it ain't making no money.
Yeah.
And we were talking about that. He's like, you know, the idea of going on vacation is a lot more fun to me than actually going on vacation.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, when you're, and I really believe that, because I have a lot of fun, like sitting on the internet being like, oh, this would be a cool place to go. And like in my mind, I'm doing it all. And then it's like, when I really start thinking about going, and I'm like, well, I'm going to need to do these 47 things to get ready to go in the last 48 hours before we leave. And then when we get back, it's going to take me 2 weeks to catch up on the 5 days of work that are, you know, that I missed. Yeah. It's like, yeah, it just ain't worth it. Like, we'll just stay home. We'll have a staycation.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's how, I mean, our kids, the spring break is, I think, early this year. It's like in February or March 20th. And that's what Marcy was looking at beach stuff yesterday. And I was like that. I mean, I enjoy going to like Orange Beach for a few days. Like if I get myself to go, I have a good time. and I love the food. And man, I'll tell you right now, I am literally haunted by that track hoe work. Like, I can't enjoy anything right now because all I'm thinking about is that track hoe that's broke down still, and I have got to get it going because I've got to get over about 250 acres before I start planting.
Yeah.
And next week, like, it doesn't relieve me whenever I look at the weather and I see, okay, Monday's going to be good, and then it's supposed to rain the rest of the week. Like, I already decided, I was like, if I can pull the starter, get the other one replaced, I'm just going to have to run in the rain. Like, I have got to get this stuff going. Like, you can run a track hoe in the rain. I mean, I was running the bulldozer in the mud the other day, and it'll get stuck. But you can get out of a track hoe. I hate to rut the place up like crazy, but, I mean, after next week, it'll be halfway through February. Like, so I don't have the luxury almost anymore to try to let the weather do well. This winter's killing us. It last several winters have been that way. And so that's how I'm thinking. I'm like, because when she told me that it was at least towards the end of March, I was like, well, that makes me feel a little better. Because the thing about it, what I'm doing, it's not crazy amount of stuff I got to do. It's odd stuff I got to do. Like, it'll be trees here, trees there. I'm going and got to clear out. I'm taking out a tree line. Like, it's in a 2-week time span, I'll be able to make a lot of stuff happen if I can just be running. But my track hoe has been a lemon so far on that. So I don't know, man. I feel like if I ever got caught up on the track hoe work, I feel like I would be able to enjoy myself a little more. But I don't know, as a farmer that's like acquiring land and trying to keep land up and all this, I don't know that you ever actually catch up on your track hoe work.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of one of those things. By the time you get over everything, you need to start again.
Yeah.
But it's like working on fences. Like you're never done. Like,
yeah.
Like, that's the good and bad thing about fencing. Like, there's always fence to be checked, and I guarantee there's broken wires.
That's what will bring Ross down. I'll invite him down to come. You need to, we could even tell you, we could take him around some of these fences out here.
Oh, God dang.
We'll wait till midsummer, and I'll be like, hey, come down here and let's fix some fences.
Yeah, fencing's what I should be doing this time of year, just going around, because, I mean, if it's just brutally muddy, it's a pain in the butt, but you're doing all of it. I mean, it's all by hand. And,
yeah.
I know my dad was telling me one time, it was last couple of winters, like, it's too cold to fence. I'm like, what? I mean, as long as it's not like dangerous to be outside, like, it's not too cold to fence. Like,
yeah.
It's like 20 degrees one day. I was like, I'd rather fence when it's 20 than when it's
100.
90.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'll stay warm. Like, and I'll dress warm, but
and you'll work up enough to be comfortable.
you'll have to. I'll be in danger of wearing too much clothes.
Yeah.
Because then you'll break a sweat, and then you will get cold. But it's like, what?
I've never thought it was too cold to fence.
And I mean, it was a day where it's like most people probably wouldn't have, but I was just like, the high was like in the 20s, and I was like, no.
The ground, if you had to drive posts, I could see where driving them into the ice frozen
I was just
ground.
patching. I was walking fences and patching. Like, it was perfect for what I was doing. I was like, no, this is fine. And I remember, like, I stayed out all day, and I'm like, no, it was very comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you got anything else?
Well, there was one other story. I'm full of stories this week. This one was a little more fun, which I don't know. Calling it fun maybe is not exactly accurate. So, but a little, I guess I can't call it not serious, but so here, I'll just read the headline. Spanish police seize cocaine worth $114 million from a cattle ship.
Wow.
So, I believe it was in the Canary Islands. Yes, in the Canary Islands. It was 4.5 tons. I believe that's metric tons, the way they have it spelled there, which I think is closer to like 5 tons in American.
Oh, really?
But, got all these metric
TONNES.
Yeah. We're using that. that and leaders.
Yeah.
all these
We're going
all these commies.
like European or whatever.
Well, and this was Spain, so yeah, they had apparently some of the drug smugglers have gone to using livestock ships. They said because it's makes the control and localization a little more difficult. But there's 28 crew members that got arrested, and they had trailed it shockingly from Colombia.
Oh.
I mean,
Can I believe that?
yeah.
That's like when I see gun violence in Chicago or Memphis. I'm like, who would have thought?
Yeah. So, yeah, there's in the Canary Islands, there's a pretty neat little story that was kind of related to ag, using
Cattle ships.
cargo ships. I think they said it had already had stopped at ports in about a dozen countries before they made the raid there in the Canary Islands.
Is $114 million worth of cocaine a lot? Like, I mean, space-wise, I can't imagine it'd take that much to be that.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Because when I saw that 4.5 tons, in my mind, I was like, God bless, that's going to be
Like,
$1 billion
yeah,
of cocaine.
yeah.
And they're like 114 million. I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Like, Pablo wiped his ass with $114 million. Like that wouldn't have even, which then makes me think about, that was the whole thing. They would always let some shipments get seized,
Yeah.
just to appease the DEA and let them feel like they were actually doing something.
Well, that may be the
And then
case.
at the same time, they've got
$1 billion
25 tons on these other 3 ships that went right past while they were making that raid.
Yeah.
And that may be exactly what happened.
That actually would not surprise me.
Which here's where I'll get into conspiracies all the drug agents that are taking down that one ship or know about it and they're on the take.
Oh, yeah.
And they're taking money under the table to make that one bust while 90% of it goes right by past them.
Well, conspiracy theories, you really can't say that they're just conspiracies hardly anymore, especially after we found out, the CIA really admitted that they killed JFK.
Yeah, how did that come out? Like they wouldn't deny it or
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah, it was. And what was crazy is everybody was like, "Yeah, okay."
Oh, you did nothing was said about it.
Nobody even was like surprised or even like questioned it. They were like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, cool."
Well, that seems to be the case with everything. Like now, like the stuff that
Well, like Martin Luther King, it was more FBI's who they're picking that on, right?
I can't remember on that one.
All I remember, a friend of mine. So I think James Earl Ray, and somebody could fact check me on this, but I believe he served out his prison sentence. Did he get put to death?
I don't remember.
I believe he was at Brushy Mountain Penitentiary, which is it's right on the Tennessee Carolina line. Because we went by there one time. We were actually going snow skiing when I was in school over in North
Does it have
Carolina.
a sign that says the home of James Earl Ray?
No, but I had a buddy from East Tennessee near there.
Yeah.
And he had, I guess, kind of become fascinated with it. And he said, he wasn't a total conspiracy theorist on this, but he said, supposedly James Earl Ray admitted to doing a lot of, even committing other murders, but he went to his grave swearing he did not do that. And
But he would admit to others.
yeah, and so he wasn't like he was trying to get out. He was like, no, I've done a lot of really terrible stuff, but I did not kill MLK.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I'm sure that story.
Your impression, you know what it reminded me of just then?
What's that?
It sounded like I did not have sexual relations with that woman. Like that's what that sounded like to me.
Miss Lewinsky.
Yeah. Like it's like I've done a lot of things, but I did not have sex.
Yeah, that's another one where now it's like, yeah, of course she gave him head. I mean, yeah.
I know you've seen the meme where it shows Bill Clinton sitting at his desk as the president, and it says, "The youth today has no clue there's 2 people in this picture."
Which hell, I mean, I wish our president wouldn't be doing stuff like that. Like that's not a great thing. But like, if you are, I don't guess he couldn't really come out and say, it's like, hell yeah, the intern was But it's like I don't have as big a problem with him. I mean, hell, that's between him and Hillary.
Yeah.
If he's,
Well, looking at her
yeah.
and who she is.
I think that was an arranged marriage from the get-go. And
Yeah, from the depths of hell.
I doubt they ever even lived together. I mean,
I'm pretty sure she likes women, so she in her book she talks about like her, I think, experimenting with some women or something.
She probably just threw that in there
to kind of check the box.
Yeah, check the box with the woke folks. But
yeah. Have you watched Last of Us?
No.
Have you seen the trailer for it?
I don't even know what that is.
Well, it's like this. It's an apocalyptic TV show, and it's been getting.
Damn, that's right up my alley.
Well,
where does it come on?
Sure hate to rain on your parade. So it's based off of a game that was like, I never played the game, but apparently, I mean, it's supposed to be like one of the greatest video games ever. And it's this, there's like this fungus. I'm going to butcher it. Somebody listening may watch the show.
Well, don't give me a spoiler because I might want to watch.
You don't. I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
But this is not the spoil. This is just the plot. Like apparently there's, if I understand right, like it's a mushroom or like a fungus that grows and then somehow like people have ingested it or something and it turns them into almost like zombies.
Okay.
But the whole universe has got like so literally it's like the last of the human race.
Okay.
And it's supposed to be just legit. And I got some buddies, man, they were talking about how awesome the show was. And I guess it's coming out, like it's on HBO Max. Okay. And I'm assuming it's coming out like every week. And the first 2 episodes, they were like, man, they are so great. And the 3rd episode just came out, and a buddy of mine was like, they just can't believe what they did. Can't believe what they did in the 3rd episode. And so I'm going to say this vaguely so I don't reveal anything because somebody might be watching it. And one of the other guys in the group said, what did they do? And he goes, they turned so-and-so, or he said, it got real gay. And and the guy goes, they didn't turn so-and-so gay, did they? And so we were waiting on him to respond. So I just Googled the actor's name. Boom. The first thing that pops up was a Rolling Stone article that they had written about episode 3 and what a masterpiece of a love story it was between these 2 men. One of them's like this libertarian survivalist, and he has a trap set, and a guy falls in the trap, and he rescues him, and then they fall in love, and they make out and crack in the scene.
Oh, my God. Yeah, that's getting a little funny.
Like, that, it turns into like the way it sounded, basically the whole episode was like the love story of these 2 guys.
Netflix is going to be so mad they didn't get that one.
I know. Yeah, man, I know. But
they'll one-up them.
Yeah, yeah. But that, because I was intrigued by it. I'm like, this show sounds pretty awesome. Then after I heard that, I was like, nah, no thanks.
Yeah.
The Terminal List did get lit up for season 2, and Ben is getting a spinoff.
I saw that. They're going to do a prequel with Ben.
I think that'll be pretty cool.
Tim Riggins, yeah. No, I probably will, which I wonder, has Jack been working on writing a prequel?
I don't know. If he has, I hadn't heard.
Because that's what I was wondering. I was like, whoa, how are they just going to make one up, or is it something that he's written?
I don't know.
Because that'll be interesting. Because like Game of Thrones, when it got so popular, of course it followed the books, and then it takes him so long to write the books. They were ready, like, dude, we got to put out the next season of the TV show. And so he had to kind of just paraphrase him on what the book would be if he ever gets it out. But
it doesn't shock me. The books are like the length of the Bible.
They're really long, but like and I'm not like one of the super fans or anything, but I've worked with a couple people who are, and they're like, yeah, like people are like, the super fan clubs are like legitimately afraid that George R.R. Martin will die before he finishes the book. Well, he's not like he's old. He's not in like great health.
He's very overweight.
Yeah, he's obese, and but
do you ever watch? We're doing our movie reference here at the end for everybody, but I can't think of Game of Thrones without thinking of the South Park episode about it. Did you ever watch much South Park?
No.
Man, they did a little parody of it, and it was the theme song, like the dun 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 dun, dun, and it goes wiener, 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 and it's all the like wieners you see in there, and it says one wiener next to another wiener.
I don't remember seeing many wieners.
It was a lot of gay sex in it. I just remember that.
There was a little. I wouldn't say there was a lot.
You finished it. See, I quit after so much of it. So that's all I still remember.
There was some wild stuff, but there wasn't. Nah.
Actually, the guy in Last of Us is the Viper or whatever that gets his head smashed in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I can't remember the character's name, but yeah.
He was, you know the one I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Not the Mountain. What was the giant guy that? It was the Mountain.
Yeah, he's the one that kills him.
Yeah, that's the guy that is he's the lead of Last of Us. He's not the gay one. He was gay in Game of Thrones, but he's not gay in this one.
He was up for anything in Game of Thrones. That was kind of, because again, I read the books first, but yeah.
Is he that way in the books? Is all the gay stuff in the books?
I don't remember how graphic it was, but I don't remember if it was in the books or this TV show. He pretty much says like, I'm here to enjoy everybody. You know, it was kind of his philosophy. And I'm like, well, you know, not for me, but yeah. But that was the whole thing. I don't know. Did we discuss this here? I didn't, because I kind of started watching the prequel, the House of Dragon or whatever.
Yeah.
And like there was one episode I was like half paying attention to it, so I went online to read like a synopsis. Like, did I interpret all that correctly? They caught a whole lot of heat because
for killing them.
All the gay people die, like, and it's like, you know, like everybody dies in the like, spoiler.
That's the point of the show, yeah.
But it's like they all die like terrible, like violent deaths, like all the gay people. And I got to think about it, and I was like, yeah, they kind of all do. And so now that they're catching flack for like, well, it's not good enough that they're in there have a lot of homosexuality in the TV show. It's like, yeah, but then they make them all die terrible deaths. Yeah. I'm like, man, you know, there's a lot of people that die really terrible deaths. Like in fact, very few of them die peaceful deaths.
Thinking back to what I watched.
None of the main characters anyway, but anyway, yeah.
You got the company today?
Oh, I do.
With 2 words, made in America.
That's right, made in America. So yes, I got one that probably maybe a little more mainstream, even where everybody could appreciate it. Which we do a lot of products that, well, the coffee is something anybody could appreciate, but not just specific to ag. But WeatherTech floor mats.
Oh yeah, man, yeah, those are awesome.
I just happened to, but we've got a set in my wife's SUV.
I think that's what's in my pickup.
Yeah, that's a very popular one. But I was, you know, like, I'm sure wiping up some drink that one of the kids had spilled or something, and sure enough, made in USA. I was like, well, heck yeah, everybody needs a good set of floor mats, and why wouldn't you want ones that are made in USA? So
I did not realize they were made in USA. That's awesome.
I didn't, like, I was literally looking at the mat itself, and it has right there stamped on it, made in USA. I was like, well, by golly, we're going to talk about that one.
There you go.
But yeah,
that's very applicable. I always struggle with that word, applicable. That's a very applicable thing you can use right there, man. Your floor mats, WeatherTech, and I mean, yeah, they're solid. Like I bought the cheap ones before to put in my service truck, and they get a hole in them like really quick, like where you drive, your foot sits up there. So yeah, I've never worn a hole in a pair of in some WeatherTechs.
You know, it's like I think I've got a set in the F-250. Now, I'm old farm truck. I don't think it has any mats at all. It's got the old vinyl floor, which that brings me to something. Why in God's name do they put carpet in the floorboard of a truck?
Truck, especially.
Of any truck. And I'll go so far as say, like, okay, maybe in like a luxury vehicle, but like even like an SUV, like what's the point of having carpet in the floor of a vehicle?
I think it's sound dampening is the ultimate thing.
I could see that. I hadn't thought about that, but
that's going to be the biggest reason, I'm pretty sure. I mean, and you know, I mean, some people might think it looks good, but I'm going to say the biggest thing is going to be sound dampening. It's
nasty. Like, you're talking to somebody here. I have no carpet in my house.
Yeah, we don't.
Because carpet's just nasty. I mean, and I have pets, but especially in the floorboard of your vehicle, like you get in there with grimy, dirty shoes multiple times a day. Anytime I've never like custom ordered a vehicle, but anytime like I'm playing around on the internet building one, like you can do the carpet delete.
You get hardwood floors in the truck.
Yes. But I always do the carpet delete. I'm like, shit, yeah. Like, why would I want carpet? But the sound, I hadn't thought about that. Yeah.
Does the Ford, the service truck have carpet?
The F-350, no.
Okay.
No, I'm pretty sure I'd have to even look. which you'd have to look in the driver's side, 'cause in the passenger side, you can't see the floor.
Cause see, I was gonna think my service truck has.
I don't even know that mine has mats. It's just the
Mine did not have mats, and it was like black, like it's like vinyl or
yeah,
something.
it's just the vinyl floor. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what mine has. Hell, my truck, we didn't even mention that. It's in shop right now.
Your pickup,
The
service truck.
yeah.
Uh-oh, what happened to this?
I really don't know. It was a fuel issue, I think, of some kind. And then for a moment, I thought I might have just ran it out of fuel, because
Yeah.
the gauge was not showing empty, but it was showing like an eighth of a tank, maybe. Like where normally I'd be like, okay, yeah, I got plenty.
Yeah.
Especially I think it's a huge tank on it. But I got to thinking, I was like, I don't know that I've ever run it that low. Maybe the gauge is off. But I tried a couple things to like prime it back up, and I still couldn't get it started. So I real quickly called a guy, and I was like, you want to take a look at this? And he said, yeah. So I had it towed to his house, and I'm waiting to hear from him what he found with it. So
Dang. Well, maybe it's something simple.
yeah, I don't know, but yeah, that was a slightly adventurous moment I had this past week since we last recorded, but yeah, whatever, just another day.
Oh yeah, always something, man. It's always something. Well, guys, we appreciate you tuning in. Go to talkdirtpodcast.com and leave us a question on there. Contact. All right, I'm making it a vow here. Before the month is done, we will have hats.
Okay.
We will have hats made and some stickers at the least.
Hats and stickers at the least.
People have said, I've had several people are like, man, just get some hats and stickers. I had one guy say koozies, any of like the swag stuff. even if we don't come up with a shirt yet, we'll at least have some hats, some stickers by the end of this month. Mark my words.
Here's the thing though, because the hats that I've ordered recently,
we'll have the design locked in and ordered. We'll have hats ordered.
Because we could place an order today, and it's the 2nd, which is 9:30 p.m. We place the order tomorrow on the 3rd, and we probably wouldn't have the hats this month.
Yeah.
We might not have them till April or May.
Yeah. We will just lock in that they will be ordered by the end of this month.
Okay. I think that's a fair goal.
Yeah. So, guys, leave us a rating and a review. Do leave us some questions. Shoot us emails. You can, or like I said, talkdirtpodcast.com on the contact page. Write us a message on there, and we'll check it out. You can DM either one of us on Instagram, and all that stuff will be in the description below. But that's about it. We appreciate you tuning in.
Yeah. We'll be back here next week.
Yep.
You never know which day, but we'll be back.
Yep. Well, hopefully we're well.
Good Lord willing, I should say. None of us are promised tomorrow. But
That's right. Guys, thank you. Y'all take care.